Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
We're diving into the sun today. You know, that constant push and pull. How much is good for us versus how much is, well, dangerous?
It's a classic public health puzzle, isn't it? Finding that sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone for sun exposure.
Exactly.
Okay.
We've got sources looking at the data to figure out that balance, making vitamin D without getting burned, essentially.
And our mission here is really to get practical. We want to nail down the actual minutes you might need, explore some less obvious factors.
Like things you probably haven't thought about.
Precisely. And we'll also touch on some really surprising benefits of sunlight that go way beyond just vitamin D.
Okay, so starting with vitamin D, it's actually quite a complex process, isn't it? It's not just sun hitting skin.
No, not at all. You need the right kind of UV rays, UVB interacting with your skin, but then your liver and kidneys have to get involved too to synthesize the active form, D3.
Right. And the amount of time you need for that process, it seems to change massively.
Oh, absolutely. It's a highly variable formula. Think about latitude if you're way up north. Especially in winter, it's much harder to produce enough.
Okay, so location matters. What else?
Age is a big one. Once you're over, say, 70, your skin's ability to make vitamin D drops off quite a bit.
And skin pigmentation too, right? I remember reading that darker skin needs significantly more sun.
Yeah, that's the melanin effect. It's protective, which is good, but it means needing maybe 5 to 6 times more exposure to make the same amount of vitamin D as someone with lighter skin.
Wow, 5 or 6 times. So with all these variables, latitude, age, skin tone, is there any simple rule?
It makes simple rules tricky, yeah. Look at the geographic differences. A study in Valencia, Spain, that's about the same latitude as Kansas City, roughly.
Okay.
In summer, maybe 8 to 10 minutes of midday sun is enough, but come winter, you might need almost 2 hours, assuming you've got, like, arms and legs exposed.
2 hours, that's a huge swing.
It is. Or compare somewhere like Miami, where maybe just 3 minutes works in summer, to Boston in winter. Again, you could be looking at over 2 hours, especially if you're bundled up.
Okay, that's a lot to juggle. But there's some good news. You mentioned storage.
Yes, thankfully. Your body can store vitamin D in fat cells for weeks, even months, so you don't have to hit that perfect target every single day.
That makes sense. It creates a bit of a buffer.
Right. But then you have the sunscreen factor. It definitely decreases D3 formation, so it's another balancing act.
Always a balance. Okay, but you hinted at benefits beyond vitamin D. This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah, this stuff is fascinating. Sunlight has effects that are completely independent of vitamin D production, like our internal clock.
Ah, the circadian rhythm.
Exactly. Circadian entrainment, getting bright light, especially in the morning, helps kind of set your clock, helps you wake up feeling alert. It's called a phase advance.
And too much light at night messes it up.
Right. That causes a phase delay, shifts your clock later. Plus, the duration of bright sunlight seems directly linked to producing serotonin.
The mood regulator. Makes sense why sunny days feel better.
It likely plays a part. And then there's the cardiovascular connection.
Okay, tell me about that.
UV radiation exposure seems to lower blood pressure. And this happens whether or not your vitamin D levels change.
Really? How?
It's thought to be linked to nitric oxide, or NO. Sunlight triggers the release of nitrogen oxides stored in your skin.
Okay.
These convert to nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator. It makes your arteries relax and widen.
Which lowers blood pressure. I saw a study mentioning, a 6 millimeter Hg drop on average in hypertensive people after UV exposure?
That's the kind of finding researchers are looking at. It's pretty significant.
Wow. Okay, so mood, blood pressure, anything else?
The immune system, too. Specifically, T cells.
Are infection fighters.
Exactly.
Okay.
Research shows that blue light, which is part of sunlight but safer than UV, can actually energize T cells, makes them move faster, potentially getting to infections quicker.
And that's not a vitamin D thing.
Totally separate mechanism. Seems to involve hydrogen peroxide synthesis within the cell.
Okay, this paints a much more complex picture than just sun is bad or sun is good, which brings us to risk.
Right. The risks are real skin cancer, sunburns, cataracts. We absolutely have to acknowledge those.
Yeah.
But we also need context.
And the global health data gives us that context.
It really does. When you look at the global burden of disease measured in Daly's disability-adjusted life years, basically years lost to ill health or early death.
Yeah.
The numbers suggest that the burden from very low UV exposure might be, well, markedly larger than the burden from excessive UV exposure.
Wait, say that again? More harm from too little sun than too much, globally.
The data points that way. We're talking potentially 3.3 billion dailies worldwide linked to insufficient UV, compared to about 0.1% of the total global burden linked to too much UV.
That's staggering.
There.
It really flips the usual narrative.
It suggests that maybe widespread sun avoidance could have unintended, large-scale negative consequences that outweigh the risks we're trying to avoid.
So it comes back to strategy, being smart about it.
Absolutely. Tools like the UV index, the UVI, are key. The WHO says protection is needed when it's 3 or higher. That's a good starting point.
And how you get your exposure matters too. You mentioned spreading it out.
Yeah, the multiple hit hypothesis. The idea is that DNA damage might be handled better by your body's repair systems if the exposure is broken up. Shorter sessions with breaks.
Rather than one long blast.
Exactly.
Yes.
It gives those repair mechanisms a chance to catch up, theoretically, so they don't get overwhelmed all at once.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you listening?
I think it's that your lifestyle, your behavior, your age, these things often matter more for your health outcomes than just the general UV level where you live.
It's about a personalized, balanced approach, not a one-size-fits-all rule.
Definitely critical. We need to move beyond thinking of sun as just dangerous.
Which leads to a final thought, doesn't it? If the global health burden from not enough sun exposure hitting bones, heart health, mood, might actually be bigger.
Then what level of, let's say, smart outdoor time, maybe balancing unprotected moments with protection, should we actually be aiming for? Not just tolerating, but maybe even prioritizing for overall well-being.
Something to think about. How do we balance all these newly understood benefits against the known risks?
That's the ongoing question for public health and for all of us individually.